This is Kate Baconsale. You're listening to Baconsale.
Heights, spiders, crowds, dentists. For years, our fears have lived in harmony. Then everything changed when irrationality attacked. Only Baconsale, masters of making the most accurate lists, can rank them. After a week passed, our listener divulged their fears, but I believe Baconsale can sort them all out.
Dun, 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 dun.
Can you just do a spin on that every time you have an intro?
That's not my thing. I'm just going to do that. Whenever I'm like, what am I doing for intro? Avatar.
I like it. Welcome to Baconsale. I'm Joel.
I'm Ken.
And I'm Zach.
We'd like to thank you for listening to our last episode, our spooky yacht rock episode.
Yeah. So scary.
Listen, we're closing up summer.
Yes,
obviously.
Summer's done. We're in the spooky season now, but last week was summer.
For some, it was scary, like Taylor Carroll, who said, I learned today what yacht rock is. You're welcome. And I also learned that I hate yacht rock. So sorry. I love you guys. Love the show. Zach, please don't take this out on my son's future haircuts. It's just not for me. Listen, we listened to it in the barbershop like 9 hours straight. It was great. Got so many compliments. So I guess sorry. Also sorry to Todd Callan. We ruined his dreams because he thought that Hall & Oates were yacht rock, and apparently they're not.
But they are.
But no?
According to a lot of purists, they're not. So I'm sorry for anybody we disappointed, but there are several people who were happy about this. There were people who played along. Rachel Crump had a whole,
that was great.
Play along in every category. That was fantastic. I think this is greatly summed up by Jeff, R.I.P. Burt Convey, who said, I had never heard of yacht rock until this episode, but it turns out several songs I like fall into the category. And I have personally experienced this quite a bit with the barbershop. I've been talking to people and they don't even know what it is. And then I explained it. They're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, my grandma listens to that. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
It's tender.
Sam Moss said he is blessed to call Scott Sprague a friend. He's entering his yacht rock era.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
But finally, Crew Dutler said, if I ever had any question that Baconsale was hosted by three middle-aged white guys, today's yacht rock episode puts that question to rest. Look, we've got our demographic. We know what's up.
Zach, you're not middle-aged yet? Physically, yes.
Have you seen the car I drive? I was middle-aged years ago.
Okay, true.
I'm going to wrap it around and pull and die. It's fine.
Oh, what?
Spooky!
Bringing in the spooky.
Speaking of spooky,
October is a favorite month here on Baconsale, and we like to do a little fun thing. So all this month, we will be doing October Halloween-themed episodes.
Hold on.
And random sound effects.
Never impressed.
No, we're not bringing back Spoopy.
It's been a year. Give that to me.
No.
Did I retire Spoopy last year?
I think you did.
Yeah.
I think you wrapped it around a pole. But what we'd like to do, since we enjoy the season so much, is that we like to do a giveaway.
Yeah, we do.
So once again, we are going to be doing a scary date night on Baconsale.
Prepositions matter.
Where's the... Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah. The preposition scared me a little bit.
So, what we're going to do is, did you guys know that Baconsale has a YouTube channel? And as we work towards... I was talking to you guys. Did you guys know we have Baconsale?
No,
YouTube
actually.
channel?
Thanks for uploading every show on there, by the way.
Yes, so we're getting those uploaded each episode, but it is, I was going to say, it's just an audio format right now. We are working on more videos and more content there, but we'd like your help building up our channel a bit. And so... to enter this giveaway, all you have to do is subscribe to Baconsale's YouTube channel. That's right, it's on YouTube. You search in Baconsale, you'll find us. And you need to subscribe to our channel, number one. And number two, comment on this episode's video. Like this episode, the one we're talking about Irrational Fears, which we'll get to that in a second, Zach. I kind of spoiled it there for you, sorry. Stole your thunder.
Thunder.
There you go, okay, yeah. That was that thunder, or was that like...
I was clearing my throat.
A Slurpee machine that's empty. That was good. But
He didn't mean that.
if you comment...
that was great.
if you comment on this episode's video by October 13th, 2024, you'll be entered to win 2 passes to a haunted house near you. Could be Nightmare on 13th.
Yeah.
In Salt Lake City. It's a very common, very popular one. Been one of the longest haunts here in Utah.
My nightmare on 13th is the ballpark closing. Go on.
Oh.
And then we'll announce the winners on social media thereafter. And we will be posting about this contest on social media as well, so you can see the post there. But the actual entry will be subscribing to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe and comment.
And subscribe and comment below on that video.
Much like subscribe and save without any saving.
6 feet below.
And if you are a patron of Baconsale, you actually get another chance because we're giving away a second pair of tickets on our Patreon page. So we will be posting about that as well, so you can enter there also. So if you're a patron and a listener, you get 2 chances to win 2 passes to the haunted house, so you can have a scary date night on Baconsale.
Wait, maybe like listen to the show when you're waiting in line or whatever.
Jeff talking mongoose.
Hey, I'm Jeff.
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about today. What are we talking about today, Zach?
We're talking about irrational fear.
Irrational or rational?
Irrational.
Irrational. You mean fears that don't really make a lot of sense?
No.
Well, then I think we need to draw a baseline here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
About fears that do make sense. We have talked about fear before with Dr. Matt way back when, but we wanted to bring it up again as kind of a spin on it and show you the irrational side.
The Dr. Matt episode was like sub 30s.
Off the top of my head, I'd say Baconsale episode 28, The Psychology of Fear.
How do you know this?
Just off the top of my head.
Like an encyclopedia.
It is pretty
Baconsale.
crazy.
Yeah, don't ever ask me in person.
Creepy even. But yeah, let's talk about the most common fears, because obviously there are things that like make us just give us the shivers. There are things that like make us possibly scared of death by a certain thing. But let's talk about some of the fears. Zach, I know you have a list of the phobia names, and then maybe really quickly I'll go through and say what they actually mean.
Back on episode 28 of Baconsale, back when people would comment on the episode on the website.
On baconsale.com.
That doesn't happen anymore.
Wow.
No, not really.
There were multiple comments about this one, which is acrophobia.
The fear of heights.
Yes.
That's a big one.
It's not so much the heights. It's
I wouldn't say a big one. I'd say a tall one.
A tall one.
falling from them.
It's my third greatest fear.
What?
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm perfectly fine with heights, as long as I have something sturdy to stand on and something sturdy to hold on. Meaning, like, if
So if you hung out with us,
yeah. Well, I mean,
We're sturdy.
More along
yeah.
lines like, for example, we went up to the top of the Space Needle one time, and there's a wall and a fence, and I had no problem just walking around there. And
Side of Grand Canyon.
My brother was like terrified, and I remember being like, "Why are you scared? I mean, are you scared of this?" And I ran up and like jumped.
Oh,
like,
I hate it.
Jumped off the wall. He was like, "Don't!"
I get vertigo
evil
even kind of
Knievel.
standing like 5 feet away from the edge. I hate it.
I ran across a catwalk one time up on top of the. It was an auditorium, and I was fine.
Sure.
But then another time I was in a factory, and there was a catwalk, and one of the rails was like not there. One side had a railing, one side didn't.
Nope. I'm out.
All of a sudden, my brain went, "No, you can't do this anymore."
The urge is too strong to jump.
tying it into a previous episode, legitimately, I've used Dr. Jack Shepard's advice.
About panicking for 5 seconds?
Just count to 5 and just deal with it.
Let the panic wash over you and then move on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Great advice.
What about aerophobia?
The fear of flying.
I mean, that makes sense.
A lot of people have this. A lot of people I know, adults too.
Yeah.
I just like traveling too much to have this.
I've always been fascinated by flying. This one never got me.
Yeah.
You know, Arrow, the only reason I know Arrow has anything to do with flying is because of the Final Fantasy franchise.
Oh.
Not because of the Red Hot Chili Pepper song?
What?
It's my aeroplane.
I've never listened to that band in my life.
Wow.
I don't like California. What about Enoch?
You have Californiaphobia?
Actually, yeah.
Californiaphobia.
You just wrote their next hit.
Dang it. How about anoclophobia?
Probably a newer one. It's the fear of crowds.
Oh, I don't know about that, man.
Really?
I
You say it's old.
No, I can get with that.
See, I think the Gen Zs, I think they are
My
afraid
kids,
of clouds.
my kids do that.
Clouds and crowds.
Yeah, they're afraid of clouds. No, my kids do that. Well, they'll be like, are there going to be a lot of people there? Or, Dad, there's a lot of people here. And I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we're fine.
I have to be completely mentally prepared. Like, I have to go, this is going to be the worst time at Disneyland ever.
It mentally drains you then.
It does. What about claustrophobia?
Obviously.
We've heard of that.
Yeah. This one I hate. It's closed spaces.
Enclosed spaces.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really feel this that much, but there has been a couple times when it peaked its little, like, ugly phobia head. And I was like, what are you doing? I don't want to be scared.
Did your older siblings ever trap you in a sleeping bag or blanket?
Of course.
Yeah. That's where I got it.
Yeah.
That's where the trauma started.
That's where you caught
Claustrophobia. Yeah, absolutely.
No, claustrophobia is not a huge deal for me. I know people that can't be in a room if like all the doors are closed. And I thought, that's just interesting because it's still a wide open space, but because it's enclosed like that.
Have you ever been put in a dryer and then have it turned on you?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
We used to take
Our
rides.
siblings are the worst.
Oh no, we used to take rides in the dryer.
Zach, are you okay?
What?
Yeah.
You have pillows around the side, and then you sit in there, and you have to keep the door open, otherwise it gets too hot. And
Joel,
you turn it
it's
on.
not a ride. Your older siblings
You tape down the door thing
What
so you can
in
keep the
the
door open.
backwoods activity is this?
It was the 80s, man. We didn't have, like, tablets.
to ride the dryer.
I will take iPads over dryers anytime.
You could actually be be Anyways, go on.
Okay, how about dentophobia?
Fear of going to the dentist.
Is this a thing?
Yeah.
Where do you guys
Is it fear of is it going to the dentist or just dentists?
I would say
I think
going
that's
to the
all
dentist.
inclusive.
Yeah.
Like, you see, like, when they say 9 out of 10 dentists on a commercial, you're like, ugh.
See, I think no one wants to go to the dentist, but some people legitimately fear it, so they just have bad teeth.
I like the dentist.
You like it?
I do. I always
Dexter.
I do feel shiny clean after.
No, everyone says, I love that after dental checkup feeling. And I'm like, you like the taste of blood in your mouth?
Not only
and, like,
that,
choking
you
on
like when
water?
they're drilling in something that if you swallow wrong, they're drilling all through your gums.
I don't appreciate when the dental hygienist has got me all like wide open and she's like, so what do you think the hardest part of my job is? Like, I don't know. But my dentist himself is actually quite awesome. One time he said he was going to Google how to do the procedure that I was asking him to do. That made me feel great.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stop
geez.
telling jokes.
He's awesome. How about glossophobia?
So this is fear of public speaking. And they're saying this one is bigger than the fear of death.
Yo, I don't think we have that. I'm just
Well, we're
gonna
not speaking in
throw-
public. We're just...
But we all can.
But people listening
we're all
may
fine,
have
I
that,
think, but yeah.
right? Obviously, we like broadcasting quite a bit, but I do think this is a major thing. And this is something in college that, even though I liked attention, I didn't want to do. I had to take public speaking
I think
classes.
there's a difference between glossophobia, like a fear of public speaking, being us here three in a room with spooky lighting in the dark, which we are,
Sure.
or going out and speaking in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
There is a difference there.
I'd have no problem.
But no, I think...
I did it professionally, though, so...
Yeah. I the other day, I just got called up, hey, can you just run this thing real quick? And I was like, sure. I walked
Yeah.
up and did it like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
So,
How about mesophobia?
a fear of miso soup?
Yeah, I actually have that.
Yeah.
That's gross.
This is the fear of germs or contamination.
Germophobia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think everyone has a healthy dose of, but some people have a little extra dose of.
I may have a little bit extra.
You do.
Yeah.
You are.
Hey, take it easy.
talked about
Generally are a little bit extra. How about arachnophobia?
Great movie, John Goodman.
1990.
Yeah.
John Goodman?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You didn't know that?
He's the exterminator.
He is.
Yeah.
Watch that
How
movie again.
about
It's great.
that?
Daniels.
And this one is maybe one of the most common, I think.
I've always found it fascinating how I personally do have a reaction to spiders.
What's your reaction, though?
Just that I'm like not happy to be around them. Like I don't like them, but I'm also not freaking out. Like I know I have that rational part of my brain kicking where it says, I am larger than you. I can kill you at any
If
time.
there's a huntsman spider in the corner of your room, I'm saying a hand-sized spider that can jump.
How
are you reacting?
That's a different situation altogether. 'Cause
Right.
This is why I don't live in Australia.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, I just look at spiders and go, ugh, I have to take care of this, don't
Yeah.
I?
If they stay hidden, they're good.
Yeah.
But if they show themselves,
But I've told you guys about the
on.
spider treaty, right? I've made a treaty
Yeah.
with the king of spiders, and if they violate that treaty, it's immediate death. That's the way it works. So it's like, sorry, you're in the bathroom. That is a forbidden zone. You are dead. And I actually explain it to him before I kill him.
What about ophidiophobia?
you're doing a great job. It's the fear of snakes.
Thank you.
I think this is like spiders, but much less common. Because, like, how often do we run into snakes?
Well, it depends where you live, once again.
Yeah, that's true. I think up in the mountains, like, people do have that. But yeah, if it's maybe wetter climates,
But which do you fear more, spiders or snakes?
well, a spider is not probably going to kill
Like
me.
you wake up in the night and there's either a spider, a large spider, or a snake on
Oh,
a
a
medium-sized
snake.
snake on your floor.
A snake.
Yeah, because it's uncommon here.
Right.
Yeah,
It'd be gross.
yeah. But yeah, I think snakes are one of those fears that you had to get over as a kid when they brought the big old snake into
Yeah.
school and you got to hold it. It was like, okay, I can do this, and that helps.
Well, how about agoraphobia?
This is
Fear
once
of
again,
outside, right?
yeah, fear of open spaces. So near about crowds, but it's open spaces.
Wide open spaces.
So like
Wide open.
like every scene in Italy ever.
Yeah.
In any movie.
Right.
Just a wide open square.
Yeah.
How about eichmophobia?
The fear of Ike, the former president.
You don't like Ike?
Ike Eisenhower.
It's the fear of needles or pointed objects.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, really?
There's a little bit of background. Maybe we're spending too much time here, but when my ex
No, this is about us.
oh, it is about us?
This part is.
When my ex was getting an epidural for our first kid, I didn't even see the needle.
Oh,
But
really?
she was leaning on me, and so I'm supporting her, and I'm like, you got this. You got this. She's getting the epidural on her back, and I just imagined what the needle looked like, and I fainted.
No.
I full on, I went limp, and she held me up.
Oh, your poor wife, who's literally getting up a dural, had to hold you
literally
up.
getting a giant needle in her back, and she's supporting me. And the doctor goes, "Is he going to be okay? He's really white." I was like, "I'm so sorry."
That's just when he dances.
He's so white. He's listening to yacht rock.
Basically, they call me Macklemore. It's weird.
Yeah. No, I don't like the feel of needles. Of course, I don't like getting a shot, but
Sure.
it's more just like, okay, get it over with.
Yeah.
Ow. Okay, we're done. But I've never had that giant fear of needles. In fact, when my wife got an epidural, I was literally like right there, being like, "This is fascinating. How does this work?"
No way. Looked away. I might have this one. Decidophobia.
Yeah, this is a Gen Z thing, I think.
Yeah.
It's
What is
the fear of making decisions.
Oh.
Or
I have that.
every woman at lunch.
That's just me.
Can I say that?
Send your hate mail to baconsalepodcast@gmail.com.
Look, it's not the fear of deciding, it's the fear of being wrong. It's the fear of being disappointing. I get this.
My kids have that too.
Yeah.
Because
I
all
think
the
it's a
time,
younger thing.
It's a thing like, okay, what kind of shake do you want? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I want raspberry. I don't know if I want cookie dough. And I'm like,
Paralysis
doesn't
by
matter.
analysis, man.
Ooh, yeah.
It's real.
Yeah, it's like, just choose one. It's fine. Flip a coin.
So what about verbophobia? You know about this?
Fear of verbs.
This is the fear of
Being active?
misspelt, mispronounced, or misused words. If you have that, I am so sorry.
We do
Wow.
that all the time.
Wait, is this a common one, or is this a...
This is not a super common one, but it's going to happen here, especially as we get into Stranger Fears.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
So that's like a sample of some very common fears, but we also have listed a whole bunch of strange, bizarre fears.
I mean, as we were doing our
Phobias.
research for this episode, obviously look at the most common types of fears, and it is like public speaking and death and things like that. But then there were these random strange fears that have names, that have enough people that have this fear that they have names. And so, Zach, if you can pull up the list I sent you, we're going to rush through those as
Good
well.
luck.
Ablutophobia.
Hey, that's probably right.
Yeah.
That is a fear of bathing. Some people have a fear of bathing.
Eyeballphobia.
This one is a fear of palindromes.
Oh.
And if you look closely...
Phobia.
Yeah, ibo is the backwards of it's a palindrome.
Got
Most
it.
people, yeah.
Electorophobia.
Any ideas there?
No, because it's Alec.
Yeah, it's a fear of chickens or hens.
What?
Not the sequel to the Daredevil film Elektra.
Starring a chicken. No,
Scary
I thought it was
movie.
weird. Some people have a fear of spiders, some people have a fear of snakes, and apparently some people have a fear of just chickens.
Okay, chickens are weird.
They're weird, but not to be afraid of.
Amanthophobia.
A fear of dust.
Amathophobia?
If you have a mathophobia, you have a fear of dust.
A mathophobia of dust. Okay. Anitophiphobia.
This one is weird, and I saw it on a couple different sites, but I still don't believe it's a real thing.
No, I think it is.
You think it is?
The fear that somewhere a duck or goose is watching you.
After the video game? Yeah.
After, I would say there are people that fear large birds. I know someone very close to me is afraid of large birds like pelicans. And sometimes they just stare at you. And they could be scary.
But why specifically ducks and geese? I don't understand that.
It's the game. You have trauma playing that game in the playground.
I guess.
What about arachibutyrphobia?
Arachibutyrphobia
Oh.
is the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
I kind of get
Like, it happens to everyone. People know it can happen. But some people are like deathly afraid of that.
And it's not so much the peanut butter; it's the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. When the top, I always put the peanut butter on top, and then that gets lodged in the top of my roof of my mouth. It's really scary. I'm really scared right now. It's Chatophobia.
A fear of hair. Just a general fear of hair.
Oh, I don't
Okay.
want that.
Yeah, that would be terrible for a barber to have.
Dipnophobia.
A fear of dining with others.
Oh, I kind of have that.
Like,
So it's kind of like the crowd thing, but in small groups.
but eating specifically.
like they're watching you eat, maybe?
Like a dinner party or something like that. That's the fear, is
that's
dipnophobia.
Oh, what about dextrophobia?
An irrational fear of
It's good
objects.
for 4 seasons and then bad for another 4.
Pretty much.
It's an irrational fear of objects on the right side of the body. Things on your right side is dextrophobia.
What?
They do have a counterpart for left side too, but
Antidextrophobia.
that's much more rational.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I get it. Being afraid of left. Doraphobia.
Oh,
Dora.
swipe or no swiping.
The fear of Spanish child speaking loudly at you. No, it's not true. No, this is actually Doraphobia is the dread of touching the skin or fur of an animal. Like, I thought everyone out there loves petting a cat or petting a dog. There are scientific studies that show that helps lower your heart rate, helps release endorphins. It's a good thing, but some people...
It's like a dog comes up to you and it's like, pet my dog.
Yeah, no, absolutely
Please no.
We have Francophobia.
Francophobia is a fear of French people and their
that
culture.
makes sense. Francophile. All right, what about globophobia?
A fear of balloons.
Do you think it's the sound and everything? The popping?
I think some people are really afraid they're just going to pop. Because I don't
the
think
sound is horrendous too. Like,
I don't know. I just don't see it as a fear. You know what I mean?
every single one of these is weird.
What? Oh, no.
Here you go, Zach. This is the big one.
Oh, boy.
Just break it up in pieces.
Hippopotamonstro
My lyrics are bottomless.
Deliophobia.
Should make a hippopotamus joke.
Yeah, I did.
Yes. I'm not going to say it right either. Hippopotamonsterosophobia. That is a fear of long words.
Oh, well, that's
Which is just
rude.
cruel.
That's rude,
It's just
right?
cruel.
You know that was done on purpose.
Yeah.
Laconophobia.
Fear of vegetables.
Oh. Linonophobia.
Fear of string.
Octophobia.
Fear of the number 8.
I don't have that. Pholophobia.
Fear of belly buttons. Some people out there have omphilophobia, which is a fear of belly
They're
buttons.
kind of weird. Peladophobia.
Fear of bald people.
Phobophobia.
That's a fear of phobias.
The only thing we have to fear is fear
If
itself.
you're afraid of being afraid, you have phobophobia.
Phobophobia. I almost said fubophobia.
Oh, yeah.
Brand. I have.
For us, by us.
Yeah. Plutophobia.
The fear of money or wealth.
Okay, take
Like
it.
you're afraid of making
actually-
money and becoming wealthy.
I have that. That's why I am the way I am.
That's all our excuse, Zach.
Paganophobia.
Fear of beards.
Pteronophobia.
That is a fear of being tickled by feathers.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
What does that happen since?
Makes, oh, that makes me deeply uncomfortable.
But it hasn't happened since medieval times.
No.
We just unlocked something, Joel.
I'm deeply uncomfortable.
Let's bring feathers. And when Zach gets out of order,
Oh, I'm weird about tickling.
You have turnophobia?
wait, are you
Oh.
ticklish?
Yes.
Like everywhere?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm ticklish too, but I've never had a fear of being tickled by feathers.
Oh, no. Oh.
Like
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So okay, hold on.
sounds so
Let's
bad.
say I lifted up the side of your shirt, the right side, and put the feather there, and then you're like, stop it, and you cringed. I hate feet, but let's say your foot,
Oh, no.
the feather right on your foot.
a feather duster, like the one from Beauty and the Beast. That one.
No, one singular feather.
No, feather duster is fine, but oh my gosh, that makes me so uncomfortable.
Wow.
So funny.
Wow.
Okay,
So
well.
unlocked. Dr. Matt. Sorry, I can't see through the tears. I'm crying. Sidonglobophobia.
What?
An extreme fear of cotton or cotton balls.
What about Venus trophobia?
This is something Ken has. A fear of beautiful women.
Okay, what? I love them.
But you fear them.
I'm a Venus trophile.
Oh, wow. Wow, getting back to our Latin roots here.
Nice. What about xanthrophobia?
And that is the fear of the color yellow, which is usually only held by Green Lanterns.
Ken has a couple extras, including nomophobia.
The fear of being without your mobile phone.
That's a relatively new fear.
Yeah.
I can't have that. Taphophobia.
The fear of being buried alive.
Coulrophobia.
The next two might be rational. I don't know, but that's a fear of clowns.
Well,
I feel like that fear has dropped off significantly in
Since
this rise
2016?
generation. Yeah.
With the clown purge.
I guess. But
Yeah.
I just
I
feel
think
like
they just left pop culture.
those
in general.
who
Yeah.
were raised in the Pennywise generation of the 90s, I think, had that fear. And then
Well, I don't think that people like nobody's showing up at a party as a clown really anymore.
Yeah.
It's more like a rodeo clown. That's kind of the only way you see them anymore. Then trypophobia.
Is this rational or irrational? As we are leading into our main subject, is the fear of circle clusters
I don't like
a
it.
real fear?
Zach's reaction to
Why?
tickling,
But-
I don't like it.
But Joel, why?
I don't know.
There are people that see a strawberry with its perfect symmetry of seeds and
That's
they go,
fine.
that's disgusting.
So you
No,
know,
that's fine.
If you pour milk into a cup,
Yeah.
it kind of gets some bubbles on the very top for just a brief time.
Yeah.
And apparently that is a trigger for this.
Yeah,
phobia.
but no,
honeycomb.
But that's fine too. There's something about it on skin where
the
they had
scarring.
Yeah, like they had pictures. Like I was like, "What's this What is it? Trypophobia?
Trypophobia, yeah.
Trypophobia." And I was like, "I'll look this up. This isn't a big deal." And every picture I saw, I was disgusted. And
Never
horrified.
Google this, by the way.
No.
Because then you will then have trypophobia.
Oh, it's horrible. So that one feels more rational to me.
Okay.
More
Final fear.
feathers.
Final fear. Paganophobia. This is a fear of mustaches. That's something Kent is sporting right now.
Oh, yeah. Are you guys afraid right now?
A little bit.
Afraid?
No, actually, paganophobia is a severe fear of beards, but it can also include mustaches,
Okay.
teeth, and other facial hair, which we're currently sporting right now. Not
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm clean shaven right now.
Yes, that's a lot of fears, guys.
That is a lot of fears, and it's actually interesting to see how many of these are out there. And I wish there was some. There probably is. So I did more deep diving in it of how many people actually have these fears, because some I feel like people are just making it up.
Yeah.
Because like honestly, why would you have like the duck and goose thing? I'm like, I don't.
It's got to be something. There's like My Strange Addiction with weird stuff out there, weird stories. So
But then enough
there's
people
someone
have it.
Who knows? Maybe a handful, but that's too many.
But yeah, and I think that everyone's going to have some level of arachnophobia, I believe. But when I think it gets a little crazy is when it becomes paralyzing.
Yeah.
Like when you can't physically kill
Like
a
you need
daddy
to
long
leave
leg.
the room when
Yeah,
there's
you
a
can't
tiny
kill
baby spider.
Daddy long leg's there, and you freak out and leave the room. It's like, no, come on.
So we've covered the common fears that we all generally share, and the strange fears that maybe a small handful of people have. But
Let's say real quick, I
Yeah.
apologize in advance if we are insensitive.
oh,
And if we,
so
and I
really
apologize
disclaimer right now.
if we've been
spooky disclaimer.
insensitive, because you do you, man. That's
So
okay.
we made fun
You'd
of
be scared of those ducks and geese.
It is, yeah.
we made fun of general people. Now we're going to make fun of specific people.
Oh no, we're not going to get too specific because we're adding an air of. We asked you, the listener,
Indeed.
to submit your most irrational fears, and we've gathered them up. We're going to read some of them here on the episode. We're not going to be able to get through them all. We apologize, but also we're adding a little bit of anonymity to protect you. And protect those around you. So we're only going to be using first names.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. People probably know who you are.
Who's Nicole?
I don't know.
But we asked you to list these based on irrationality, and we're going to score them based on irrationality. And honestly, the more irrational it is, the better.
Because we're going to be crowning what is the most irrational fear of those submitted that we were able to get through. And maybe the most rational as well. We'll see how much we can do in the time we have.
But we have a pyramid, and we'll see how many are on the list once we're done. But yeah, we're going to have just things get eliminated, put near the bottom, put near the middle, or some that may stay at the top the entire time based on how weird your fears are.
Yeah, don't be afraid. It'll make sense in the end.
First up, we have Allison, who said snakes, spiders,
Oh, a few of them.
raw chicken,
Okay.
ground beef, the ocean and lakes, log trucks, and we saw Final Destination. That
Oh
was
yeah,
perfectly
everyone
rational.
has that. Yeah,
Irrational fear of dolls, creepy dolls. We got
I love all the dots.
to pick one. What are
Yeah.
we doing here?
I'm gonna go with
We're
raw
gonna
chicken and raw ground
meat?
beef.
Raw
yeah,
meat?
raw meat.
Raw meat.
Raw meat, which is, because if you submitted multiple, we're just going to kind of pick one on there that seems somewhat irrational. And my wife has this as well. She cannot handle when I touch raw meat, and then I have to make sure to wash everything.
So if you cook meat, you are the one that's preparing it, and she doesn't want to be in the room.
She will. She's fine with that. It's just if I touch, if I'm making hamburger patties, and then I have to make sure the plate goes directly in the dishwasher, and I have to make sure I wash my hands before I touch any vegetables whatsoever, and wash them very thoroughly. Which
Yeah.
I'm I understand the safety, but at the same time, she thinks I don't know. She thinks it's going to kill her.
Like, what if you're at the grill and you're grilling some burgers, and the tongs have a little bit of the raw hamburger on there, and that's totally fine.
Not to some people, maybe not to Allison. So let's talk about Allison here.
Okay.
This anonymous Allison, but raw meat, I think it's got some validity to it.
Well, I would just say, is this a common thing for a lot of people? Or a lot of people, do they get the gag reflex?
I think it's more disease. People are worried about the diseases that come with raw meat.
Or handling, because raw chicken is pretty gross and slimy,
It
right?
is, but also salmonella.
Yeah, I mean, currently, she's in the lead.
Yes.
Or
Technically
the bottom,
speaking,
depending on how you look at
This is
it.
at the tip of the pyramid.
Yes.
Or if we are building the pyramid from the bottom. It's somewhere in the middle right now.
Yeah.
So raw meat, specifically handling raw meat.
Yes.
All right. Angela said real animals, not cartoon animals, but real animals dressed in clothes, especially cats. So in calendars,
I think in real life,
Yes.
like Halloween costumes.
or people who just put their dogs in cats and sweaters.
Yeah.
I understand being annoyed by that kind of fear, or not by that kind of fear, by that kind of thing of
Yeah.
cats being in clothes. But I don't see that as a fear. Why do you fear a cat in clothes? Is it because you think it's more intelligent than an unclothed cat?
I wonder if she goes to PetSmart. Angela, do you go to PetSmart or anything where a cat may be wearing a little cozy, a little Snuggie or something like that, and you just think that's the most disgusting thing ever? Do people walk their cats or dogs with clothes around your neighborhood? Because, you know, the little cute, like, bulldog hoodies?
Yeah.
She gets disgusted by this.
I think based on the sheer number of calendars and posters and costumes that are available for cats out there, I think this fear is more irrational than raw meat.
Yeah, so that's where we talk about like how we're sorting out this list, you know, this by rationality or by fear. I think raw meat is scarier, but this is kind of more irrational.
This is more irrational than raw meat.
Yeah.
Because we all have to prepare food.
There is a reason we have our food handlers permits.
Yes.
Or we're told to get them. We don't get them. Yeah.
But,
we require food handlers permits here on Baconsale.
There is a certain
Baconsale.
weirdness to raw meat. I think, you know, having some fear there, that makes sense to me.
There's a healthy fear of survival, whereas I don't see how a cat in clothes...
I just want to be in the room when Angela sees a cat in clothes and see what happens.
So animals in clothes goes above raw meat. Mm-hmm. How about April, who said, looking out a window and seeing someone look back in.
Ooh.
I keep my blinds closed at all times so this won't happen, and I don't live on the ground floor.
And we're actually going to combine this one with another fear that was submitted. Chanel said, having the lights on with the blinds curtains open while it's dark outside. Basically, the fact that someone could see me, yet I can't see them. I will find my way around in the dark to close the window coverings before I will ever turn on the lights.
I'm just going to speak for them. I don't think it's someone looking in. I think it's the fear of someone looking in.
But if someone were looking in?
No, if someone were looking in,
if you open your blinds and someone's standing
that's
out there?
just actually terrifying, right? But if it's like they keep their blinds closed or sneak around in the dark to make sure they close the blinds without someone seeing them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the prevention of,
yes,
not the fact that there's actually a creeper outside. And that's funny that April doesn't live on the ground floor, but she still fears someone looking in the window like it's Salem's Lot all of a sudden.
Very tall people.
Yeah, I think we all kind of have a sense of privacy that we don't want people to intrude on. And if your lights are on and the window's open and it's dark outside, people can see. And that's just a matter of fact.
Yeah. But for example, I grew up in a neighborhood where my parents' house, the backyard was a forest. Like no one back there, just goes down into a hollow and there's no neighbors or anything. And me and my brother used to make a game of it where we'd leave the blinds open and like walk past the window in like various states of dress or undress, just kind of being silly, like putting on silly outfits and walking past and then back and forth. My parents were like, what are you doing? We're like, just in case someone's hiding back there. They deserve a show.
Yeah.
We thought it was funny. We didn't have a fear of it.
I think this is valid. I don't think this is that irrational.
No, I think it's also very American. That we like our privacy. We don't want people to see us.
You think Europeans just walk around with their blinds open?
In Amsterdam, people literally leave their windows open and people see all sorts of things.
I was walking, I live in a townhouse community. I was walking by after the sun had set, and there was somebody had their blinds open, one of my neighbors. And I was curious at what that window was because it was a different layout than my house. And so I was like,
binoculars come out.
Absolutely as casually as possible, peek in and go, oh, that's the kitchen. Oh, got it.
Yeah.
And I felt like a huge creeper. I think that this is pretty valid.
Yes.
And so I had actually put it.
I think it's valid to have that healthy privacy thing going on. But like when you're crawling around your house to close the
way
blinds
they act
before you turn it on, that's a little irrational.
No, it's like
because in the couple seconds you turn on the lights and walk over and close the blinds.
Okay, but I think the fear of someone looking in the window is the most rational fear that we have here.
Like this is a list that we're creating where the bottom of it will be legitimately scary things. I think this is like a really common.
But keeping your blinds closed all the time.
Yeah.
Let the daylight in.
Oh no, it's night. I think it's night.
Yeah, it's night.
Where it's scary.
Oh, I followed up on that one and I said all the time. They said all the time.
Okay.
That might be a little bit further, but more or less than raw meat. I think this is a more rational fear than a fear of raw meat.
Because you can always wash your hands.
I'm going to put this below raw meat. Next, we have Ashley, who says, having an underground parking structure collapse on me. She tells a story about City Creek last winter, 3 floors down because of traffic, and that's all she could think about. I think those are kind of creepy.
Yeah.
She also says, I refuse to leave my crock pot plugged in to cook since that one episode of This Is Us.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I had to do a whole breakdown of that. It's never going to happen.
I think Ashley's comes down to claustrophobia, which is a real fear. I think it's actually a scary thought, especially if you're stuck in a parking structure. For example, the Megaplex Gateway, right under that movie theater.
Yeah.
I've been stuck down there for near about an hour.
Ugh.
And I just get the anxiety.
You start to give the cave feeling.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going to run out of oxygen. It is always a different temperature there. The air doesn't move, and that's creepy to me.
Yeah.
And if there's an earthquake, like you have that thought in your back head, if there's an earthquake, this could collapse.
Most rational so far.
Yeah, that's quite rational.
Yeah.
Parking structure.
Even though it's not going to. And what are the odds that an earthquake is going to happen when you're in that parking lot?
Yeah.
But it is maybe the most rational.
More so than maybe someone looking at a window or raw meat, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Yes. Again, bottom of this list going to be the actual scariest things, and that is, I think, a pretty shared experience. Especially, what's the deal when you are in a parking garage? Why does the ceiling seem so much lower than it actually is?
I know. And sometimes your phone doesn't even work when you're in a parking structure like
GPS
that.
stops working.
Parking structures are scary.
They're scary.
Okay, well, now I'm scared. Next, we have Aubrey, who says, when my daughter was a baby/toddler, I was afraid that I would load her in the car at the store. Then when I was putting the shopping cart away, I would be hit by a car and taken away in an ambulance, and no one would know that just feet away, a helpless child was trapped. This is a horror story. Was trapped in a car, so she would die there.
Oh.
I didn't have anxiety about this or anything. It was just something I thought of. So I would always park close to the cart return as possible and leave her car door open. Now I always take carts back for any moms I see that are loading up.
Oh, that
ones.
was a cute story. It came back around.
I mean, but
Well,
that's scary.
no,
I
but
like-
this is driving her behavior.
Yes, but I also like she clarifies this isn't like I think gives her anxiety. I think it was just a back of the thought.
No, it literally directs what she does, though. She parks next or as close to the cart return.
Yeah.
Like, this is like maybe a slight anxiety, but it still controls what you do.
Yeah. I couldn't help but think of Split on this when like the girls are getting in the car, the dad's in the back in the trunk, and all of a sudden this random guy sits down in the front seat. That part was one of those terrifying parts of that entire movie to me. So I understand this fear of like not being able to return to the car you were just about to get into.
This is somewhere in the middle for me.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it's fairly rational?
I mean, the fact of leaving a baby behind is a rational fear.
I think that's the root fear is like leaving your child alone.
But the process of it is a little bit irrational itself.
I just feel like this all goes back to the root of like fearing you're leaving your children alone. Like, you go out, like I was thinking about this today, is like if we went out on a drive and I thought, man, like we left a couple of the kids home and I thought if we get in an accident, those kids at home, they're not going to know for a long time. Like just that back of the mind thought, probably because I've been doing research for this episode. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh man, that'd be sad. But yeah, probably less rational than someone looking in your window because it doesn't happen as often.
Yeah. And I'm just worried about her because the more she returns carts for other moms, I mean, that ups the odds. Take it easy, Aubrey.
She's doing work. She's saving the day. Right. Beaker, whoever that is.
First name only.
Beak. Yeah, right.
Beak says getting food through a drive-through window and heading home to eat it, only to get in a car accident and die. Honestly, very similar to the last one.
The fear is not getting to eat your food that you ordered.
Yes, it's not dying in a car accident.
It's paying
It's
money
having something
to get
that
the
you
food.
are in process of getting to eat at some point. It's not getting in a car accident. It's not eating your Taco Bell $10 box. Okay.
This seems a little. This seems,
Think about this. Break it down
this
real
seems
quick.
a little irrational to me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all about getting my money's worth, and I'd be very
That's
disappointed.
just it, right?
I'd be very disappointed if I didn't.
You'd be dead.
But I did not. This never crossed my mind. But it's not one that's going to haunt me.
So you're saying this is quite irrational.
I'm saying it's quite irrational, but not as irrational as animals in clothes.
Animals in clothes is a more
No, but think
irrational
about-
Because
fear.
there's no threat or fear to animals in clothes.
So technically speaking, anytime you drive, you could crash and die, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So therefore, there's some
Yeah,
rationality
no.
to
But
this
it's
thought.
it's the thought process itself that's a little bit insane.
A little.
Beaker. It's your
First names only. It could be any Beaker.
You're saying, I mean, maybe it's good fast food, maybe it's bad fast food. But like, are you going to be sad about the money you spent or the good food that you're missing out on if you're in the car accident and you pass away? You don't care about that, but he's afraid of it.
Imagine being.
I actually talked to him about this, and he said a genuine scared.
Imagine being so excited to eat your food.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Beaker has been to some of the most haunted places I know of.
I think a more rational fear would be I get my food, I'm about to eat it, and then I trip or I drop it, and then I don't get to eat it. That's a more rational fear to me than dying and not being able to
Listen, this is top 2 then for me. This is right above or below.
This is below
the
animals
animals.
in clothes.
I think there
clothes.
is validity to this more so than the animals in clothes. But
Yes.
this is more irrational than handling raw meat.
Yeah. Because it's all about getting the fast food and not being able to eat it. Empty calories. Not about dying.
Raw meat is more real.
What if Taco Bell killed me?
It will one day.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. All right. Now we have Becca, who said, I'm scared of not being able to bend my fingers. I can't wear Band-Aids over my knuckles.
So that's two different. So
that's what you're saying, yeah.
I can't wear Band-Aids over my knuckles because of.
So like if she breaks her finger, gets with a little brace on there, it freaks her out.
Okay, so let's just say
fingers.
Your bones weren't really solid in your hands, your cartilage or whatever, and you couldn't.
No, that's not even like a permanent thing. They're saying like even temporarily not being able to bend your fingers.
So not at all.
Yeah. So I feel like this is a little irrational.
That is pretty irrational.
Or
it's like a Charlie horse of the hand.
That is interesting.
I don't know if irrational is the word here as much as unique, because once again, never thought of this.
Oh my gosh, hold on. I am trying to, it kind of hurts to not think of bending your hand.
I don't like it when I do have a band on my knuckle and I can't quite bend it right.
Okay, but can you still like move your fingers?
Yeah.
Like at the
you
I think you can.
She says bend your, I can't bend my fingers. Not being able to bend my fingers.
It's fine. It's fine. I think that is pretty irrational.
You couldn't write anything typing. You could still type, but it wouldn't be easy.
Voice to text, man.
People with long nails live life that way.
But still, it's the feeling probably grates on her. It's probably gag worthy.
Listen, I think animals in clothes can be freaky. I cannot imagine being freaked out by straight.
What if
fingers.
it happened to you? Wouldn't you go insane?
I have long fingers.
I think a restriction of mobility is more rational than a cat with a hat.
I disagree.
Top 3. This is third
I think
highest.
this is silly, which makes it the more irrational choice.
We'd like to clarify no one's fears are silly. We're
some are insane.
Becca, this is silly and you know it, and that's okay.
Silly and you know it.
We did that specifically for irrational fears.
I promise mine is sillier. I have 2 I will submit later.
Dogs and cats
living together.
Wearing clothes. I think it's fast food, car accident, and then not being able to bend your fingers. Joel,
what do you think?
I think it's just below dying on the way home from fast food in regard to rationality. Irrationality.
You know, we're going to sum this up at some point. Not right now, but at some point.
But we hope you're playing along at home.
Right. Brian says he's scared of little kids backwashing into drinks.
That's just a real thing. It's
It
just
is.
real.
But it doesn't harm you.
Yeah, but would you willingly drink something that a kid is backwashed in?
Well,
see, a fear doesn't need to be like, I'm going to die.
A
fear could just be like...
a parent changes you a bit in that regard.
Sure.
Listen, that is also not a big deal, and also I get it, which means I think it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. Like, it's gross.
It's not like genuinely terrifying.
Probably boils his blood.
It's probably right around there with raw meat. Honestly, it's right around raw meat.
I'd say it is.
I'd say it's a little more irrational than raw meat, because how often are you going to have a little kid
but it's disgusting. I think it's more rational. I think it's just below raw meat.
But the thing is, he also says it's not even his drink. He just says, I'm scared of little kids backwashing in drinks.
So he could just be their own drink?
They could drink in their own drink, and he's over there being like, ah!
He's like, I don't backwash.
So
everyone backwashes.
I'm putting that as more irrational than raw meat.
More irrational. So that would be above in the pyramid, above raw meat.
Yes.
All right.
That's how I feel. Ken, do you agree?
No, but at the same time, it's going to end up somewhere near there. I think it's just a gross thing.
It's a gross thing.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Of course, I'm asking
any other kid.
Your own kid? No,
I don't have much of an issue with it, which means I guess it is more irrational.
Okay.
All right, Chad. Painted fingernails, especially on guys, just gross. Even women.
What?
Painted fingernails. Painted fingernails are weird. That might have jumped to the top of the list.
Painted fingernails are awesome.
That is a weird irrational fear.
I love seeing little nail designs. Like when people have the designs on nails or like themed nails. I love that.
I guess I want a little more context.
Yeah, shout out to Chris. Chris does fantastic nails.
Yeah.
Chris Anderson.
Painted nails. Like it must be a personal thing, like holding hands and it's like a slick fingernail or something. I
think it's a look thing, honestly, the way he kind of, because he's
like,
saying,
it gives him like the heebie-jeebies.
Painted fingernails, especially on guys, just gross, even women.
I mean, is that a fear, or is that I just don't like it?
I think it's an I don't like it. I think it's like he goes to an emo concert and everyone's got black fingernails and he's like, oh, come on.
I was going to say, we have an episode of Baconsale where you put painted fingernails on me for our hipster picks.
Yeah, that's true. So is it like a personal preference thing?
Is it a phobia or is it just a dislike?
I think it's a dislike.
But I put it near not bending fingers. This is a preference thing. This is a comfort thing.
Okay.
So it is more irrational than bending your fingers, not bending your fingers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because bending your fingers, that is a restriction on mobility, which always is annoying. Having someone have painted nails and not liking that or being scared of that.
Even women.
That's weird.
All right. What about Danelle, who said, my weird fear is that some of our walls crack and creak during the year. I start to think that the walls are going to give way and the roof is going to collapse on my master bedroom while my husband and I are sleeping there. So it's like the parking garage, but it's your own private domicile.
Yeah, it's the home you should be able to trust.
Yeah.
But when you hear those cracks, you're like, oh, is it a plumbing thing? Is something flooding? Are my walls just going to break at some point?
And that's how I feel. Like every now and then, like there's little creaks, and then there's like a big snap.
Did you guys hear those blasts like a week or so ago out in Tooele? I felt the house shake, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good. Is that my house? Is something going on?
Is that my house?
I think this is actually super rational because your home should be your sanctuary. And if you feel the fear that your home may not be the most stable, especially because they have heard the creaks and cracks, I think this is actually highly scary.
I have oft thought about my roof falling on me while laying in bed.
Especially when you hear those creaks and cracks.
You see cracks in the corner.
This is more of a rational fear.
I'd say this is a pretty
this is
rational, maybe the most rational fear.
Yes.
Maybe even more than parking structures. Do you think?
Yeah, because your home way more.
Or is it slightly more irrational than parking structures because...
No, because I think some houses... I think more houses collapse on people than parking structures.
Yeah, I think this is the most rational because it's pretty scary.
So far.
All right, house roof collapsing. Yeah, it's the most rational. We are with you. All right, David says restaurant benches, specifically vinyl benches. There's so much gum under the table and benches. Just imagine all of the crud, crumbs, and scum that's trapped between the vinyl back and the vinyl seat.
So this is a germophobia kind of a thing.
I mean, there are. That's fairly rational.
Because there's always gum.
Always. I got gum. Ooh, I was on the train. And I was sitting down and I got gum on the back of my leg, and then I went to cross my legs. And so I got gum on the top of my knee.
If your hand ever touches this ABC,
right,
it's the grossest thing.
It happens. It's usually dry by then.
I always need to wash my hands for every reason, and this makes me want to cut off my own hand.
No, because the thing about it is he doesn't say, he says gum under the table and benches, and just imagine the stuff that's there.
Well, he's not
actually even touching anything.
Yeah, but he will choose not to sit at a bench at a booth at a restaurant.
I did my best to clean the vinyl seats at the Sizz. Yeah, I really did.
Underneath?
So we're just going with the Sizz now.
Yeah,
underneath.
Yeah, we tried to pull them off.
Okay,
I did it frequently, but not every time, man. Not every time. Okay, there's stuff down there.
I think this is
it's mostly crumbs. It's not anything weird, and it hasn't been there forever.
Generally disgusting, so it is more rational because it's just kind of like this is gross.
But it's also just the fear of germs and the fear of the unknown. Like, there might be germs there. Which leads me to put this one maybe around backwashing.
Like above raw meat? It's in
that ballpark of like
far
germs
more
and
rational.
It's more rational than raw meat.
No, seeing a kid backwash versus wondering if there's gum under a seat, how is that more rational?
But choosing not to sit at a booth and a table instead.
That's a little rational. That's more rational, I think, than backwash.
More rational than backwash?
I think so.
More rational than raw meat?
Yes.
Because then that would put it below raw meat.
Yes.
No, I think it's more irrational once again because it's the imagination of what might be there rather than an actual thing.
But also, if you have
more
kids,
irrational than raw meat.
If you have kids and kids always play under the tables and kids always get sick, there's a reason for that.
That's one of the rules of the restaurant when we go to a restaurant.
Yeah,
is no going near the table.
Sit still. So where does that sit?
Not quite as irrational as backwash, but more irrational than raw meat.
More irrational than raw meat. Yes.
Okay. All right. Title of the episode. Okay. All right, Drew says mirrors in the dark. As a kid, I'd stick my hand in the bathroom and turn on the light before going in myself. Hold on, let me get that on there. And I always picture a monster's hand in the mirror copying my movements.
Creepy.
In the dark, you don't know what is there.
I feel like he still does this. I think this is too stuck in his mind. It's a core memory for him. And honestly, I share this fear.
Mirrors in the dark?
Yeah, I hate it. As a kid that grew up on scary stories to tell in the dark, every time I see a mirror in the dark, I either turn on the light or I say, Bloody Mary be gone. I literally
There's nothing in the dark that isn't there in the light, Kent.
I know, but here's the thing. It's like, what if there is? What if you see a pair of eyes looking back at you?
It's your pair of eyes.
Like a doll's eyes.
Bloody Mary be gone. I still have
you guys ever
this.
stared at your face long enough in a mirror where it starts to like glow or like
Are you
distort?
okay?
No.
Whoa.
What? It's Joel's aura.
Like when your eyes start going weird?
No.
No?
Jeez, I don't want you to look at a mirror in the dark. I think this one is scary, but also nothing is going to hurt you, right? Nothing's going to happen.
So
but it's
this is an irrational
It's
fear.
something he's had since a kid, which makes it more irrational.
I think it's like a very common irrational fear.
Yes.
It's common irrational, but once again, we talked about parking structures falling on people or houses falling on people or being poisoned by raw meat. No one has ever been killed by a mirror in the dark.
Yeah, but it's not about like your threat of death. It's like, are many people afraid of this? I would say yeah.
But why? Just because a lot of people have it doesn't mean it's not irrational.
I think movies and the dark.
So
Those two combined?
This is highly irrational for me.
Listen, you could die on the way home from getting anything, including fast food. I think it's more irrational than that. I think this is a more irrational fear than animals and clothes, because animals and clothes could be reasonably freaky. Mirrors?
No, there's a thing that it's made a habit, and so it's become quite rational for him.
I would put this just below animals and clothes because darkness is a fear.
Yeah,
and
I would say darkness is a good fear, like a rational fear
it's
to
a
have.
common fear.
Yeah. And it's not as if a monster is going to kill you. It's as if, do people share this as well? And people do.
But it's an irrational fear. Just because a lot of people do it doesn't make it more rational. Just because a million people
but when we say like
scared of mirrors,
snakes are scary, but how often are we going to be around snakes?
Snakes bite. Snakes have venom. Mirrors do not bite. Mirrors do not have venom.
What about animals and clothes?
They do not have venom either.
Is that more irrational?
Yes, because that is generally cute.
I disagree. I'm feeling
because mirrors in the dark. To Kent's point here, mirrors in the dark is a very common fear. The irrationality of animals and clothes, particularly cats, it's cracking me up.
Okay, so the fact that a lot of people are scared of the
Shows
dark
there's
in
something
general,
to it.
but
I think it's still a little bit more
creepy.
rational than driving home at Taco Bell and getting in a car accident.
But that's just the fear of not getting your money's worth or not being able to.
I know, which is silly.
It's a little silly, but
This is something that he's like, oh, that's actually kind of scary. And as a kid, you feel like something will happen.
I like it.
Up to a certain age.
I will put it just below dying on the way home from Taco Bell.
Okay.
Okay, Jay says giant spiders coming out of the shower drain.
Okay.
Arachnophobia ruined me.
Okay.
Makes sense.
I get it.
But giant spiders?
Well, I used to think
In Australia?
I used to think Pennywise was going to come out of my shower drain.
Yeah.
And so I used to put a washcloth over my shower drain so I wouldn't have to see his eye looking up at me.
Really?
Yeah. That's right after I saw it. But with spiders coming up, that's a pretty
Eat
common
Joey.
fear. And that, I don't know, could happen, right?
But it's a giant spider.
Giant enough to
Like
become
spider eggs. Sure, we could all see that. We've all killed spiders. Hey, how do you kill spiders in the shower, by the way?
Have you guys ever noticed
the arm stream?
You ever noticed the term giant spider is relative? Like people are like, it's a giant spider. And like, how big?
It's large for a
size of a
spider.
nickel.
Yeah.
So I think giant spiders not like.
I think it's generally just fear of spiders. But
Yeah.
also in the shower where you're most vulnerable and it's a giant spider,
I mean,
you could
it's
slip.
terrifying part of that movie.
It's somewhat irrational because obviously you are bigger and you can crush the spider even with the bare foot.
But what if you...
But it is fairly rational because so many people are.
I think it's also a little irrational because down came the rain and washed the spider out. If
true.
the shower is happening,
This
the
is
spider's not
rational
coming up.
because if you even see something that's like dark on the shower floor, you go, spider! And then he could slip.
I think it is rational though because spiders in the bathroom happen. And they're scary.
Okay.
And if the spider was in the drain, you start turning on the water, what's it going to do? Climb out.
Oh, so more or less rational than someone
Yes.
looking in your window.
More
Rational.
More rational than someone looking. More rational than closing all the blinds.
Okay,
So no one ever looks in your windows ever.
What about you being afraid of leaving your child in a car and dying?
More rational.
That is so okay. Parking structures.
Less.
Yeah.
So this is more irrational than being afraid of a parking structure falling on you.
Yes.
See, I'm going to go with no, Zach. So you're going to have to be the tiebreaker here.
I mean, it's just an itty bitty spider.
But it's not a
Giant
fear of they're
spider.
going to kill them. It's just there's spiders going to crawl out and scare them. The fear says giant spiders coming out of my
But
shower.
parking
drain.
structure you cannot control. You can control how long you're in the shower and whatnot. So it is more irrational based on
Not
their
just like a
behavior.
full shower.
Yeah,
I think
right.
it's a difference between like a little, oh, there's a spider, and like a genuine feeling of dread of
Yeah.
a parking structure. I think a parking structure is scarier. Therefore, being scared of a spider is more irrational. I would put it above.
But I think it's probably
Okay.
more common to be scared of a spider coming out of a shower drain
I
than.
agree. But like parking structures are scarier. So they're going to go lower on the list. Okay. Jillian says construction cranes. It's got to be a falling down
Which
thing.
I've heard before.
Recently.
I've heard before from other people that it's like the construction crane thing freaks them out. And I don't quite understand it other than
Well, we see them a whole bunch.
it's a heights thing. If they fall on you,
Well, yeah, if they were picking up like a shipping crate or something like that, or something, a giant cement block, that. would
How
be
many times
instant
they
death.
fall in movies? Constantly.
Yeah.
well, like tornado movies. And
Yeah.
earthquake.
Okay, I want to know,
Spider-Man.
Jillian, we need more information. Like, are you driving through a city? You see
pause
a building?
the show. Let's ask her more information.
We'll wait.
16 paranoia-filled days later.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah, what'd you say?
So she let me know that she doesn't even drive by buildings that are under construction just in case something were to fall down, right? That's just gravity. That said, this is pretty irrational because the odds are...
Is it any more irrational than a parking structure falling on you?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same basic
No, because
fear.
here's the thing. Whatever falls is going to fall within a certain amount of feet. If the parking structure breaks down, every car is dead.
Those are like...
Cars aren't alive,
The
kid.
cranes...
What? I love that movie.
The cranes are like fair rides, right? They break down because they don't exist completely put together. So they are in pieces, and inherently pieces can break and things can fall.
I think it's a more rational fear in the sense of stuff could fall on you.
Certainly.
Sure.
Okay.
But I think it's like more rational than raw, or more irrational than raw meat, I feel.
More irrational than raw meat.
That's where I would put it. It's above raw meat, but like below vinyl restaurant seats.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll take it.
I'm into that.
I'll take it. Right. Glow says trailer loads coming loose and crashing through my windshield. She also says tripping while trail running and splitting head on the rock.
I mean, if that happens.
Okay.
That actually...
Since we already kind of talked about the Final Destination thing, let's go tripping while trail running.
Okay.
And
By the way, if Final Destination, anytime you are worried about something coming through your window from a trailer, I think that's a very valid fear.
Yeah,
because
me
I
too.
saw it happen in a movie, and that means it's real.
Almost happened to me the other day.
so a head injury from tripping on a rock
I don't
or
think
something.
that's...
This is why I don't run.
I don't think that's that irrational. I really, really don't. Like, that's terrifying.
No.
Because one slip, and it doesn't even have to be a rock, but one slip, you fall. I mean, people run, trail run alone.
Have
all
you
the
seen
time.
that video where the couple is running on the snowy street and they're being interviewed by the news, and then as they
Yes.
run away, they slip and they fall
Yeah.
right on the back of their head, which could kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it's really good. The resistance is great.
This is very rational,
Extremely rational.
especially if you're an active person.
I might say the most rational one we have so far.
I tend...
falling
Even though
while-
you don't exercise.
No, falling while running is
Yeah.
it's a legitimate fear.
Right.
And especially
And
if
I'm
you're
clumsy as
if
well.
you're on uneven ground and there's rocks around,
Yeah.
that is a rational fear.
Extremely. I mean, at the very least, hurting your ankle, and you're like, oh, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
come help me. Oh, also, I hit a rock and I'm dead. I am never going running again, which means that is very rational, and it goes to the bottom of the list. HK.
HK. I'm afraid of that.
British. Kids, open mouth, wet coughing at church. Whenever there's coughing at church, I want to burn things.
Geez, so anger, not fear.
Yeah, we'll sit at the foyer. Foyer. I said foyer.
You said H and foyer.
H and foyer.
Zack's
What country am I from?
fancy.
90% of the time because it grosses me and freaks me out.
Oh, do you think sitting on those couches is not dirty?
Listen, it's got to be. It's got to be
germs.
right with backwash.
Yeah, this boils down to germs too. I think it's kind of irrational.
I'd say it's
but
more.
germs are valid fear, but this is very specific.
It is more rational than backwash because you'll be in the situation to be around germs way more. I think it's rational to be scared of it.
True,
But it kind of directs where they decide to sit.
You don't have to deal with backwash from a child if you don't want to. True. But you can not really avoid
the
germs
coughing.
from kids.
True.
So in that way, I think this is actually a very rational fear.
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, because it can be disgusting.
Like spiders in the drain, rational?
You deal. No. I think right up there with the kids' backwash. I think it's a little more irrational because kids cough. You're not going to die every time a kid coughs around you.
So we'll say kids coughing is more rational, therefore it goes lower on the list than kids' backwash.
Yes.
All right, next up, we have Joel,
Not me.
Okay.
who says, my niece can't stand to watch helium balloons get released and float away.
Globophobia.
So, okay, helium balloons. They float away like a kid's birthday
That,
party.
to me, if I were to put on my Dr. Matt hat right now,
Yeah.
to me that would just be a fear, kind of an agoraphobic fear of just like the wide open space.
Well, and seeing something disappear.
Seeing something go up and there's into nothingness and
Yeah.
disappear and go
It's kind of
away.
like when you're in the ocean and you can't see land anywhere around you.
Yeah.
It's feeling, wow.
Or that time I drove through Iowa and I was like, where's the mountains? And I felt I was going to fall off the earth.
Really?
Happened. I think this one with balloons, I understand it, but I also feel like it's fairly irrational.
So she just can't stand to look at it.
Yeah.
Like she'd almost be like, hey, look down at the ground for 30 seconds while this balloon disappears from sight.
I think it's like a fear of heights in reverse. Where you're watching
reverse
something get
gravity
higher.
is a scary thought.
You're watching it get higher and higher and you're like, it never ends.
I think about the consequences.
Okay.
I always think
You think about
when
the seals and the
large
turtles.
balloon
Birds
releases. It's that whatever when those
The
pop
grade
and
school
it comes down.
propaganda.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I dislike it immensely, but I think being afraid of it is
I love
pretty irrational.
I actually do love seeing how long you can watch a balloon fly away. That's my favorite things. Like when you release it.
But what if you were the opposite? What if you couldn't stand it? You couldn't stand to watch something get smaller and smaller and
That
smaller.
would be irrational.
Yeah, really irrational.
When I was a child, I had a helium
child.
balloon. I was outside and I dropped it, as it were, which is weird, but it
Yeah.
floated up in the air. I let go of it on accident, and it floated up, and I cried as it went away. And I asked my parents, "Do you think on the drive home, we were at my aunt's house, do you think on the drive home we could look for it?" Like it was gonna come back.
Yeah,
sometime.
hang around, yeah.
And I was a dumb child.
This is more irrational than not being able to bend your fingers.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But is it more irrational than painted fingernails?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Balloons floating away below painted fingernails. I've never said
Whatever
that
this
before.
show is.
Whatever this show is. Jonathan says, I have extreme arachnophobia. That's rational.
Okay.
But my fear of dolls and ventriloquism dummies is probably irrational. I disagree.
Let's focus on that. Dolls and ventriloquism dummies,
Yeah, I
which
don't-
are inanimate, which do nothing.
But they're creepy.
But is it because we've
Cannot
seen
harm you.
movies about them or
Nope,
because they're
because I
given
haven't.
life?
I have not seen any movies. I haven't had those ideas put in my head in the same way. But I just look at them and go, that's kind of weird.
Because they speak in a different voice from their owner that they
don't
sit on the lap
speak.
on?
Because like I see them and they're animated, and there's something in the back of my brain that thinks that it's going to come to life, even though I know how it works.
I would say this is rational because children fear this. And I have a doll room in my house. A doll room. Do we
Whose
want to
fault
go
is
hang
that?
out? Do we want to hang out in the doll room?
I would. I have no problem with the doll room.
Would you sleep in the doll room?
I would sleep in the doll room.
Not many people would.
I would.
Really
I'd sleep with one of the
classic looking dolls. Let's say there's a little
Porcelain
the
faces.
Goosebumps doll, whatever his name
Slappy.
is, Slappy, and he's there and he's right looking at you on the bookshelf as you're sleeping. You wake up and see that. Are you not scared?
Well, given the night, anyone's looking at me is going to freak me out.
I feel like this is fairly rational because it's just something we all have.
These are inanimate objects. These are pieces of
Dolls
wood,
are scary.
pieces of porcelain. There's no logical reason to be feared of it. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's rational.
Why did Brave Joel show up today?
I know, seriously.
He was like, oh, ventriloquist? Brr.
No, I think in the dark.
That's the line we're drawing?
Yeah.
I'm so brave.
It's not scary.
I'm so brave because
I'm
ventriloquists
Joel.
are not scary to
I've
me.
seen
dark,
every movie ever.
Anything with eyes will be scary. Like actually scary. That I will get the creeps because
He
let's say
doesn't
you
say middle of the night dark. He's saying he just has a fear of dolls and ventriloquism.
Yeah.
Dummies.
I think that is more rational than being afraid of raw meat.
Yeah, far more.
You can't get salmonella from a puppet.
Yeah, but let's say for
That sentence has never been said before.
for most people, if you're afraid of that, you don't even want to be in the same house / same room. I think it is far more rational because I'm scared of it too.
I disagree, but you guys can
More rational than construction cranes, Joel?
Dolls and ventriloquism?
Yeah.
I think it's more irrational than that.
More irrational.
I think it's more
I
rational.
would put it.
What about germs? More irrational than germs?
I think more irrational.
Well, germs are just they gross you out. This is something that you're
Maybe
like,
just
oh, am
below
I going to be
germs.
possessed by this ventriloquist doll?
Germs are more.
No. I think germs are irrational because they can
think-
actually cause you harm. There's a reason your body
Listen,
There's a reason your body doesn't want you to get germs. There's no reason to be scared of dolls.
If
and
there's
ventriloquism.
if people have the proclivity to believe in the supernatural, something can be possessed. Poltergeist can happen, right? Can or won't happen. But if you believe that, this is genuinely rational.
If you believe that,
Yeah,
that was
if
the
you're the
qualifying
person
statement there.
with the fear, then it is rational.
We are literally judging people based on their fears.
Yeah.
I think we have germs way too high up this irrationality list. I think they're more rational than we're giving them credit for.
Yeah.
So you were saying that, Joel, that the ventriloquist dolls are more irrational than germs,
Yes.
but less irrational than not being able to bend your fingers.
Yes.
I like it.
Okay.
Let's go with it. Next, we have Kendall, who said, I just have a fear of heights. I haven't flown
Yeah.
in a plane in 27
Oh.
years.
Okay, that's
Couple
kinda
friends
crippling.
who have,
Sure.
that have phobias of clowns. Okay. One of them is bad enough that he won't answer the door on Halloween. Even someone who paints just part of their face will set them off.
Okay, let's stay
So
with
let's
that
go with-
because
Let's stick with that one.
Yeah.
because I think the height,
talked about
the
height.
flight thing, it's a lack of control. I think when you get in a
Sure.
plane and you're afraid of that, it's you have no control of the situation.
It's also quite rational to be afraid of heights.
So let's stay with
Yes.
anything painted face because it could allude to clowns.
And that's going to go right up there with the dolls and ventriloquism for me, where I'm like, there's no reason to be scared of a painted face.
Yeah, especially
clowns are scary. So
Clowns-
I know. Let's just generally say clowns.
but especially on a holiday where painted faces are normal and it's an 8-year-old snot-nosed kid.
And there's no threat.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, you're not walking this person in a dark alley. It's like you open the door on Halloween, there's a kid standing there with a painted face, and you get freaked out. That's irrational.
Yeah. Or if you go to a haunted house, these are drama kids all dressed up.
Yeah.
Right? It is irrational.
So it's a fear that a lot of people have, and it's absolutely irrational because this is a thing that's born from trying to make you laugh, and that you decided to be afraid of it.
Yeah.
So
same with
it's more irrational
ventriloquist dummies
than raw meat.
So
I
Like
would
the
say-
raw meat
Okay.
is our standard.
It's up there. It's up there, I think, with dolls and ventriloquists, and the question of it's more or less irrational.
Yeah.
And I think it's actually probably more rational than dolls or ventriloquist dummies because, once again, real people versus inanimate objects that can do no action on their own.
All right. Slightly less irrational.
Yes.
Than dolls.
Clowns are slightly irrational.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along. Now, Chris says being stopped on or under bridges. I think this is right in the same ballpark with parking structures.
and the roof collapsing.
So being stopped, right? Not going on an unsteady bridge and having to drive it, but it's being stopped under or on.
Like you're, going under a freeway.
Yeah.
You're going under, you're in a bridge tunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's some validity there.
I think so too. I'm going to put this actually maybe even a more rational than parking structures. Just because there's been those bridge accidents lately and it's just on my mind.
Yeah.
But more irrational than your house?
It's less rational. Because here's the thing, you go on an overpass, and if it's a big enough one, sometimes you can feel it shake, right? And that is scary, but also that's what it does naturally. But it kind of gives you that natural fear. But how often does that happen? Not a ton. Whereas being in your house, going to bed every night, and having that fear, that is far more rational because you're putting yourself in that
Except
spot
for you have more experience with that and you know it's safer. You've had more safe experiences.
But the fear is still there nonetheless. It's not like, I have the experience with this, I'm desensitized to the scariness of it. It's every time we go to bed, it's not going to happen. I think it is less rational than your house crushing you.
Okay.
But slightly.
Okay. But more rational than a parking structure?
Yes.
Okay, I like it.
Because chances are better.
Buckle up for this next one, folks. All right, Christy, I don't know who she is, but she sounds beautiful. Is it 2? 1, dying by getting hit by a foul ball at a baseball game. This literally just happened. I feel I know a lot about this story. Okay, we're going to set that one aside. This is a doozy. I have a fear of drowning in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean because our boat hit an iceberg. But not just any boat, the Titanic. In 1912. Not sure how or why, but I'm afraid I'll wake up Desmond style and suddenly be a passenger on the Titanic.
Wait, does she believe in past lives?
I think she was there.
Fun fact.
You think she was there?
I do.
Legitimately.
When I read this comment, I thought of a book where these two kids are, let's just say they're able to transport at different times.
Yeah.
And the bad guy puts them on the Titanic and closes the portal behind him.
Wow. Yeah.
And
that's terrifying.
I thought about that and I was like, oh, wow, she should read that book.
Yeah.
Is this something she's gone into detail about that you actually believe that maybe there's a link?
Only
because this is so specific.
Only since this conversation, I'm sure it comes from bad dreams and things like that. But yeah, she has like a fear of somehow being sucked through time, and more than the Titanic, it's like you are sucked back in time to a known disaster where you will not survive.
Pompeii or something.
In this case,
let's just say
again, she's not afraid of sinking on a boat. We're going on a cruise. By the way, this is my wife.
Yeah,
we're going on a cruise.
What?
And she's fine.
So
right?
her mind has gone places enough. So it's like, let's just say I woke up and I was on the Titanic. Okay.
Yeah, imagine.
But not only that, she knows she'll die and drown in the Atlantic
Ocean. It's like you sucked back in time with the knowledge, right? Where you look and go, where am I? What's going on? Is this the Titanic?
Is this
no?
Is this like either she's lived this or we live in a Matrix?
Yeah,
where things can just be decided for us.
Also, sorry, babe, if you drown, that means you were poor. I would rather not be like.
Or you were the captain.
I'm afraid of being sucked back in time and being poor.
Is this the most irrational thing because it's like an episode of Wishbone?
The fact that it is the most impossible makes this the most irrational.
But is this something that genuinely gives her chills?
But still, there's a legitimate fear of death there. What is the fear of animals and clothes? What is the fear?
Okay, so it's either going back in time and drowning from a major tragedy.
Sinking on the Titanic. Specifically, the Titanic.
Or the equivalent of an Ann Geddes poster with dogs and cats.
I think that sinking on the Titanic is just below animals and clothes.
I'm going to go with that.
To be saved.
I'm going to go with that because there is death involved, and I think it's like a fear of mortality here, and something that is bigger than her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Animals and clothes. Who knew? So yeah, sinking on the Titanic, something that's literally impossible.
Or literally, you see dogs and cats in clothes.
It's a more rational fear than animals and clothes. All right, Nicole says walking on stairs without backs because you think someone is going to grab your leg.
Never says without backs. Is that like with the gaps in the stairs?
Think about your cellar.
Joel, Evil Dead 2. So he's walking down to the cellar.
Right.
And then there's the grandma, and she reaches through and grabs his legs.
Honorable mention to Barbara Blake, who said that his irrational fear is similarly, but rather than someone grabbing you, just generally tripping and falling through those holes.
As a kid, my aunt
Totally.
had stairs that had gaps between them. Carpeted stairs was like the style. I hated walking on them.
This is almost identical to the mirror at night, where generally nothing's going to happen. And I mean, is there a home invader? They're going to wait underneath the stairs and pull your ankles? Probably not. I don't know where the blinds is at this point, but it's, I think, really close.
Yeah.
So it's like pretty irrational.
Yeah, but it's scary. Like, we all feel it.
No, I think it's more rational because if you have siblings, this could happen.
Oh.
This definitely could happen.
Okay, so there's a genuine threat.
Why?
Would anyone?
Why?
Yeah.
In Baconsale's name, is raw meat our constant?
Bacon sale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense.
No, I think this belongs...
So it's more rational than mirrors at night.
Yo, definitely.
Well, I think
Mirrors
generally
in the dark we have high up the list right now.
there's a...
As irrational. Because I think it's way more rational that because someone grabbing your leg could viably happen.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to harm you in a mirror.
And it's really based on your reaction too, right? Are you clumsy? Are you scared of that happening so you may stumble down the stairs anyways?
I think this is probably near someone looking in your window.
Okay.
I think it's below raw meat, but above someone looking in your window.
More or less rational than kids' germs. I'm telling you, we have kids' germs way too high on the irrational list. That is getting more rational by the day.
Yeah, and that's just gross, right? It's just a personal germ preference. I think it's less rational.
But someone grabbing your ankles could happen. That could happen. Yes.
All right, so it's going below raw meat,
Okay.
which is the constant of the episode. Now we have Nicolette, who says sinkholes. I can't even look at photos or videos of them. I have a reoccurring nightmare of driving down 9th West and falling into the earth.
Very specific.
Also led to a fear of driving over plate covers when roads are under construction.
Yep.
I'm unwell.
No, the plate covers is a real thing.
I'm always worried my tires are going to pop when I drive over there. It's like, go, or something like that. Or
Yeah, but like if they shuffle like 6 inches,
oh, yeah.
your car is in a ditch right there.
I think sinkholes are a completely valid fear.
Yeah, they're so scary.
They just happen.
Have you seen the video of the bunch of people in a swimming pool? Like an underground swimming pool, or like level
underground.
Sorry, level ground. It became underground, and it just the bottom fell off, and 2 people fell into the sink.
Oh,
yeah. No, that is
terrifying.
I mean, here's the thing: what are the odds it's going to happen to you? I think that's what it comes down to. The rationality of what are the odds? Would Nicolette be the most unlucky person ever?
I think it might be less rational than either bridges or parking structures. Because
yes, I agree.
I think it's above that.
It's such a scary thought because sinkholes happen.
But it's more rational than spiders coming out of your drain.
I think more irrational than that.
Yeah, I agree.
More okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd put this above spiders in the drain.
What about leaving your child in the car and dying?
I think it's above that. I think it's more irrational than that.
What about someone looking in your window?
Dang it.
I think it's more irrational than that.
What about cellar stairs?
It's more irrational.
But it's scary, though. It's still scary.
Oh, it's scary, but it's more irrational than that.
And that brings us back to raw meat.
More irrational.
I think it's more irrational than raw meat.
It's climbing.
Wow.
Top of the pops.
What about construction cranes?
I think it's right there. I think it's below construction cranes.
I totally agree.
I think construction cranes following you is more irrational than worrying about a sinkhole opening up.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Wow, that was a journey.
That was a
Right?
journey.
Way to go, sinkhole.
Very good. All right, Rachel says, I run up the stairs from the basement if it's dark because a monster might be chasing me and grab my feet, dragging me back downstairs for certain doom. I also don't like to hang my feet off the bed at night, specifically
All
for
right,
the
Rachel,
same reason.
stop. Let's Joel, we don't want to hear it.
No, what I was going to say is let's focus on
Rachel.
that. Rather than the going up the stairs, because we already talked about that, let's focus on sticking your leg out.
Okay.
Having your leg hang out of the bed.
Because I actually think the light switch, we talked about this with Dr. Matt, going upstairs, turning on or off the light, not having too much darkness within you, but right behind you is fine. Because that's actually scary because it's a scary thought that we deal with in our adult life. But the feet hanging off the bed, which I think is kind of the same thing, like she said, for the same reason, is that irrational?
Yes.
Listen, I know the threat's not there, but I do the same thing.
I had a client in the barbershop express that this was his irrational fear.
I'm 43 years old, and I do not hang my feet off the side of the bed. In fact, I rarely have my arms hanging outside my comforter.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh.
I think that is pretty darn irrational.
That's pretty irrational because for me, my arm is usually hanging off the bed all the time.
Is it?
I'm a side sleeper.
You know there's a guy licking your hand?
No, it's a dog, Kent.
No, it is not. The guy wrote a message.
Nothing's going to happen.
No, that's I mean, I know we've all seen all of us.
No, but like people have this
activity
fear
here in this room.
Yeah.
When she gets dragged out by her foot, that's a terrifying thing. But at the same time, if I'm hot, I'm flipping that cover out and I'm sticking my leg out.
I'm with you all.
But I think it's such a shared fear, though. Is it just a shared irrational fear?
I think it is
not
a very irrational fear.
Okay.
It's irrational.
Not as irrational as... I think it's in the same vein as Mirrors in the Dark.
Okay.
Maybe slightly more rational than Mirrors in the Dark.
I'd say slightly less rational than Mirrors.
Oh, slightly less. Okay.
No. Because once again, nothing's going to harm you in a mirror. But if you have siblings or a dog, they could lick your toes
or a bug bite or something.
But it is not quite as irrational, so many double negatives in this show, as dying on the way home from Taco Bell.
Nowhere near.
Taco Bell. Terry said, my most irrational fear is making phone calls. Seriously, I have the hardest time. Mike has to make all my phone calls for me. Online ordering and email/texts are my best friends.
So personal preference is a very modern thing.
It's a very modern thing.
This is one of my favorite comments I got to make because I got to reply to her and say, that sounds very fascinating. Do you want to call us live on the show so we can talk about it?
Oh, yeah.
She didn't want to do that.
It's a comfort thing. I think it's something.
It's public speaking. It's essentially, this is public speaking, but on a very kind of.
I'm going to say this is very rational. Not that there's a fear of death, but that so many people hate this now.
So many people.
But the question is, why is the fear there?
Confrontation. Any sort of confrontation. And it generally won't go poorly, but let's just say it does, right? That's where your mind goes. And it is.
I guess, but it goes poorly. I'm sorry. I have to reorder my food.
For example, like calling customer service. Nobody likes that. We'd rather do a live chat, for example.
I do prefer live chat, but sometimes a phone call is helpful.
It may be quicker, but it's painful. Like, I think there is actually detriment of time. And like, for example, if you text someone and they call you right after, you're like, why? And there's anger, actual anger.
I think this is a valid fear, but I don't think it is as rational as anything that would cause you harm.
Right.
Okay.
But I do.
Is this backwash?
I think it's above kid backwash, but below clowns is where I would put it.
Yeah. So would I.
Above kid backwash, but below clown.
Yeah.
This
is the weirdest episode we've done, guys.
Yeah. All right. And now we have Todd, who says horses. I don't like their chompy teeth. I also don't trust them. They are for sure going to kick me. I don't like being around cows.
Wow. Are they in clothes?
I get it. Remember when I talked about how I don't like how horses just stare at you?
My little sister was bucked by a horse when she was very, very young. It's a really scary thing.
My cousin was kicked in the chest by a horse.
Okay. Chompy teeth is funny. I mean, that's kind of silly, but at the same time, if you fed hay to a horse, you've been that close.
I don't get the cows thing.
I think it's just like...
cows are just more delicious horses.
How does a horse taste?
Well, have you been to IKEA?
Oh, boy.
pretty good, actually.
Anyway, I feel like...
IKEA scares me.
I got it from Taco Bell, but I died on the way home.
Yeah.
Horses, like many other animals, can harm you. Like, there's a reason why you have to be cautious when you walk behind a horse. Getting kicked by him is legitimate fear.
Yeah.
I feel that's much more rational than a lot of these other things. So I would put horses...
But they're like, we have a listener, plural, that love horses. They know they're like elegant, gentle creatures.
Yeah.
And
but also,
as he sits with a picture, like a velvet picture of a horse right behind him.
But also at the same time, it is a creature that you cannot specifically control.
And these are muscular, powerful animals.
Yeah.
Joel Hilton just described himself.
Rawr. And so I'm going to say this is a rational fear, maybe even more rational than spiders from the drain.
Easily. And this is maybe top 3 rational.
You think so?
Parking structures. Parking structures collapsing.
Okay, this is less rational because generally a horse is not going to chomp on you. But if you put yourself in harm's way, it could kick you.
Okay, so it is more rational than spiders from the drain.
Yeah.
Yes.
But less rational than a parking structure collapsing.
Yes.
Sure. That seems wrong.
Now that we've thrown all of your fears, listener, on this list, we are going to play as well. We need to make fun of ourselves, so we are going to give you our irrational fears. And I actually have two, because I am an irrational human being. So I will start.
Apparently being tickled by feathers is one of them.
Oh boy, okay. You reminded me of that thing, and now I'm scared again. Okay, so I have an irrational fear. And I wear slip-on Vans. They are my shoe of choice. I love them very much. And they're sitting there, and I just stick my foot right in. And I have an irrational fear of a scorpion being there.
A scorpion specifically.
Scorpion. Because I heard
Not
that
a
it
spider.
happens in Arizona, a place that I have been to precisely once.
Do you purposely pick up your shoe, shake it out?
I will do a little, I'll pick it up and kind of give it a little shift with my foot.
If this were a spider, I could see where you're coming from, but a scorpion is more irrational than
Specifically
a
a
spider.
scorpion. Because I heard it happens in Arizona.
It would be horrible. If it happened, it would be horrible.
Oh,
Horrifying.
absolutely. But it's pretty irrational.
Where I live, in northern Utah, probably not happening.
No.
But let's just say a spider bit you. You would think it was a scorpion.
You know what? A scorpion,
It is something that drives his behavior, and it's something that could harm him.
I would say this is more irrational than, say, construction cranes or vinyl seats.
More irrational than vinyl seats.
I'd put this just above phone calls as a... yeah, just above phone calls and below clowns is where I put it.
Is because it's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, but you know
Don't
what?
go to Arizona.
In Arizona, it happens. You know, in Arizona, they have clowns. We don't have them here.
All right. What about you, Joel?
All right. My fear, we've talked about it before here on Baconsale, and if you've seen me, you know, but what's the word? Submechanicophobia?
That's the one.
Something about things in the water larger than me scares me. Like, you get... Zach, name a car. Any car.
A Honda Civic.
I am not afraid of a Honda Civic.
Oh, okay.
Put it underwater.
Yeah.
I get a little creeped out by it.
Let's say you're going to the lake and you're like jump in, and you look down, boom.
If there's a Honda Civic, I'm freaking out.
1996 Honda Civic.
I drove by a reservoir not too long ago, and there were buildings that, like, foundations, because the lake the reservoir had declined a bit, and there I could see the foundations of buildings. Creep me out completely. In fact, I wrote a whole horror story about it. So things in the water larger than me, even if it's not harmful.
What if it's like a sign, like a McDonald's sign underwater?
Under the water? Terrifying.
Okay.
I don't know why. And I completely know this is irrational. That's why I bring it up, because it doesn't make any sense. To have a house above water, fine. House below water,
Because
terrifying.
at this point, you're swimming, snorkeling, or scuba diving, and you see something, and it's not like you're going to be possessed by whatever's in the sunken ship, right?
No.
But it's, for example, Life of Pi. Remember in that part where the boat sinks and you can see the boat sinking into the water? Does it then become terrifying that there's a boat underneath the water?
Once it's underwater, it's creepy to me.
Okay.
And I don't know
It's
why.
a great shot.
So where would you guys put my submechanicophobia, or the fear of things in the water larger than me?
I think just things
This
in the
includes
water
animals,
are
by the way.
scary.
Things that,
But like if we're talking like a whale shark.
yeah.
This is really irrational because I don't think that simply a large thing shouldn't be
Things
a big
larger
deal.
than me, yes.
It's like, oh, it should be interesting. I think this is particularly...
I remember,
However,
I remember standing on a cruise ship, on a balcony of a cruise ship, and I was looking down at the water, and I was like, oh, this is nice. And then I saw the stabilizers of the boat come out, like their little wings that come out of the side of the boat to help stabilize the ship.
Yeah.
Once that came out, I had to back off and be like, don't like that.
Compare it to scorpions.
but I will say the fact that he's in the water does actually put a threat.
A sense of helplessness.
Yes.
Agreed.
And so I think that makes it a little more rational than what's going to harm him from something bigger than him. I think this is more rational.
Then sinkholes?
I think,
But also I share this fear. And so for me, it is more rational.
right. But Zach has to be the impartial judge here and judge our craziness, Kent.
I think that there is a sense of helplessness in the underwater, which puts it below spiders in the drain. I think it's fairly valid.
I like that.
There's some
Okay.
validity to it.
I'm okay with that.
It is just above horses on the rationality scale. Horses are a more rational fear than large things underwater, according to Baconsale. Kent, what about yours?
Now it's no surprise that I'm afraid of sharks.
Yeah, everybody knows.
Yeah.
But every time I'm at Bear Lake or any freshwater lake, sharks specifically. Well, let's just say a great white shark, but I even know that bull sharks can be in freshwater lakes. But I think any kind of shark will be in a freshwater lake,
So a
waiting
shark-
for me to fall off a wave runner.
So a shark in a freshwater lake.
Specifically that, yeah.
I also share that fear, Kent.
Yeah. Wait, isn't it silly?
It is silly.
Yeah, you
Like
guys,
maybe a fish will touch your leg and you'd be like, "Ah!"
Yeah.
But that's it.
there could
I'd get a little more manly, but yeah.
No, you would not. Yeah.
there could be a scorpion in my shoe way before you're ever going to see a shark. So I think
That
this
is absolutely true.
more irrational than a scorpion in a shoe.
I think this is more irrational than construction cranes, but more rational than vinyl restaurant seats.
Okay.
Okay.
Freshwater sharks going in there. All right. And my final dumb one.
Okay.
I am terribly afraid of becoming a regular at a restaurant.
That's weird, man.
You don't want people to know your order?
I hate our food challenges so much.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm recognized, I switch locations. I refuse to become a regular at any restaurant.
But
I don't know.
why?
I hate it.
You don't want to go where everybody knows your name?
If I walk in and they know my order, guaranteed never come back.
Do you know what I hate?
Absolutely
that,
hate it.
Fizz will say, hey, do you want this one again? And truly, it's just in their system.
They just got your
But
phone
I
number.
hate that they say, hey, you want to shoot fruit again? I'm like, what?
No, say what you really order. Drama queen.
Queen.
I'm a princess.
sponsor.
I'm a Princess Peach Boy.
Yeah.
From Swig. Not a sponsor.
Zach, I don't know if we can put that one on the list because that would probably win as irrational. Because why are
Yeah.
you afraid of it? That's like phone calls.
I hate our food challenges.
That's like
because
being kidnapped by llamas,
People recognize
essentially.
me. That's
That's why we didn't include you on the Wendy's one, because we were very cautious.
I try to break the tension, being like, I'm here a lot because I'm eating every flavor of Baskin Robbins. All right, we're gonna go top 5, bottom 5.
Okay.
First, we'll talk about the most rational from our most irrational,
Most rational,
to
confused.
least.
listener submitted.
If you are still here listening to this episode, bless you. Okay, we have submitted by Todd. Horses. I don't like them. They're chompy teeth.
Doesn't trust them.
Ashley, who said parking structures collapsing.
Yeah.
Chris, who said being stopped on a bridge.
Also
Right.
cool.
Or
Or
underneath.
underneath the bridge.
Sensing a
Bridge
theme here of
collapsing.
rational stuff.
Danelle, who said house roof collapsing.
Right.
Yeah.
Valid fears, things collapsing. Also, Glow, most rational fear. Tripping and falling while trail running,
Yeah.
hitting a rock and splitting your head. in
Glow, you
dying.
lose
But you also
or you win.
Your fears are so
Valid.
valid. All right, and now from our most rational to least rational top 5. All of these are interesting. Okay, we have Drew with mirrors in the dark.
What are they going to do?
That got over painted fingernails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just
How
barely.
did that get over painted fingernails?
Do we need to adjust?
I think it's because it was a dislike rather than a fear. He's not
Oh,
afraid
okay,
of fingernails.
Okay.
Now, Rachel says sticking out your leg from under the covers.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
That's a
But
very common thing.
nothing's
but
gonna happen.
It's irrational.
Pretty rational. Beaker said dying on the way home from getting fast food.
The fast food will kill you before you.
I love
you're not
the
able to eat it.
narratives of all these.
Yes.
Babs said sinking on the Titanic
In 1912.
in 1912, specifically on the Titanic, not sinking
irrational.
in a ship. It's never going to happen. And then finally, Angela. It was early, but it stayed strong. The most irrational fear, according to Bacon Science, is animals and clothes.
It makes sense.
All right.
Yeah. So there you go. There is our list of the most irrational fears that we could come up with. Did we miss one that you think is even more irrational than any of the ones we discussed? And do you agree with our rankings? Let us know on Facebook. Let us know on Instagram. Let us know on Twitter, because we fear if you don't.
Before we go, we want to thank some patrons in a couple of special categories, including the I Am the Listener tier, which is Ryan and Marley, Lady Terry A. Finley, Jennifer Kielkowski, Scott Sprague thinks Neil Diamond went to some PT's alien parties.
What? No.
Adam and Rachel Crump, Sir and Madam Hicks, Some Guy, Shannon West, Rocky and Steph, Taylor Sanderson, Angela Potts, I myself am strange and unusual, Casey Cummings, Juice the Cooler King Swallow, and then we have the Baking Council, which is Nicole Deke Hale, the one and the only Chris Anderson, Stephen everyone's favorite Ross, Her Royal Highness Jessica Terry, Star Wars expert Kyler, our favorite couple, the Ghost Faces, Glow Clan Daniel, the other Brit Johnny English, Debbie Foster, and Beaker.
Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, patrons. You are the open blinds to us looking in the window. But if you want to find me, you can find me at 76Joel on Twitter. You can find me performing at Quickwits to perform at the Midville Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to qwcomedy.com or go to the Quickwits Facebook page.
You can find me on Twitter or Instagram at Kenny3DD. You can read my movie reviews at ShowtimeShowdown.com.
If you'd like to connect with me, you can do so on Twitter and Instagram at Tumbling Mustard. But more importantly, make sure you're following Baconsale. Please like that Facebook page and then go to at Baconsale on Twitter and Instagram. After you've done that, go to tpublic.com/Baconsale and get yourself some merch. And then if you like what's going on here and you want to support us further, visit patreon.com/Baconsale. Support starts at just $3 a month. You can get access to all sorts of behind the scenes stuff, including Kent has a wild, untamable cat, as we find out. Patreon.com/Baconsale. So until next time, just remember, Baconsale's constant is raw meat.
Bless you're beautiful. You're Horrible hide.
But spooky.
Hide.
Dang you, hide. Leave me be. Can't you see you are me? No! Deep inside, I am pure. You are a hide.
Easy there, David Hasselhoff. My nightmare on 13th is the ballpark closing. I don't like California. What about Enoch?
You have Californiaphobia?
Actually, yeah.
Californiaphobia.
You just wrote their next hit.
Dang it.
Have you ever been put in the dryer?
Thing
What
so you can
in
keep
the
the door open.
backwoods activity is this?
Is he gonna be okay? He's really white. I was like, I'm so sorry.
That's just when he dances. I have a massive phobia of dust. Ariki butiro hippopotamonstro esquip.
My lyrics are bottomless.
Deliophobia. Oh, that makes me deeply uncomfortable.
But we made fun of general people. Now we're gonna make fun of specific people.
What if Taco Bell killed me?
It will one day.
Voice to text, man.
And this makes me want to cut off my own hand. Still
Have you guys
have
ever
this.
stared at your face long enough in a mirror where it starts to like glow or like...
Are you okay?
distort? Snakes bite. Snakes have venom. Mirrors do not bite. Mirrors do not have venom.
What about animals and clothes?
They do not have venom either.
Oh, there's a spider. I saw it happen in a movie, and that means it's real.
This is why I don't run.
I was a dumb child. Kidnapped and raised by a llama. I'm afraid of being sucked back in time and being poor. Why?
Yeah.
In Baconsale's name is raw meat our constant. And that brings us back to raw meat.
I think it's above kid backwash, but below clowns.
Cows are just more delicious horses.
In Arizona, they have clowns. We don't have them here. You can't get salmonella from a puppet.